The great missionary Jim Elliot wrote in his diary one night, he said, I see, nowhere else but in the church that the character of the worker determines the quality of the work. And that always stuck with me. And I think that is really true, especially for those of us in worship ministry as well, is your character, the depth of your character influences your ministry, influences the way you lead worship, influence your sense of God's presence and your ability to communicate and express that. And I know a lot of people get by on talent. You can go pretty far, especially in our culture today, but you can't go long. And I've seen this time and time again. If you don't have a depth of character, a godly character to go along with your gift and your talents, you will not be able to sustain ministry, and you actually won't enjoy it as much either. And I think that this is why it really behooves us to develop our sense of God's character. And I also feel like it lends greater substance to our work and to the songs that we write and the songs that we sing as well. And there's just something deeper, about a person who spends time with God, and a person who is in touch with God. You can just tell. Let's talk first of all about what it means to live in an anti-Christian world, because times have changed. And I remember when I started in ministry, feelings were pretty neutral about Christianity. And, if you were a Christian, that was a respectable thing to do. And when I tell people I would work for church, they would be polite, but they didn't look down on me or anything like that, even if they didn't approve. Things are a lot different right now. We live in what many people are calling a post-Christian, anti-Christian world, and you really do sense it. You really do feel it, especially if you are living in areas where, outside the Bible Belt, for example, where you really sense it. And so we just need to be aware of that. And that doesn't mean that we should hide. And Romans 1:16, we're not ashamed of the gospel. So that doesn't change. We're not going to be ashamed of the gospel. But we just need to be aware that it's not cool to be a Christian right now. And you just had to be okay with that. And it's really going to be a test of, are we man pleasers or are we God pleasers? So this will be a test for all of us right off the bat. And praying the Psalms really has put me in touch with how I need to pray in a world like this, because the Psalms were written by people, a group of people who were outside, of culture, and they were despised for most of their history. And mocked, and people tried to get rid of them, look down on them, and we all know about genocide, so it's very real. And so when we read the Psalms and we read these prayers, keep in mind that these are specifically written for people just like you and me today, even more so than 20 years ago. And when you run across the laments, the Psalms teach us how to lament about what's going on in the world. And sometimes when we hear lament, we go, "Oh yeah, I've got plenty to lament about. This is not going well in my life. This is not going well here." And yeah, especially as Americans, our laments, tend to be a lot more like complaining about, how, my discomfort in life. The Psalms take us a little bit deeper in that, and they teach us to lament about what's going on around us. It's not just us, what's affecting everybody else, what's affecting God's people, what's affecting the church, and how to pray accordingly. The imprecatory prayers will take you even deeper in that. And in my book, I talk about how to pray those, how to incorporate those, because There's some churches that, there's some Christians that are even wondering if we should be praying those. Well, I'm saying for such a time as this, we need to be praying the imprecatory prayers. So the whole idea of fighting on our knees actually came to me as a result of, that's the title of the book that you referenced, came to me as a result of reading the Psalms. And I spent 8 years doing a deep dive, and I wrote a commentary, devotional, verse by verse, on every Psalm. And I don't want to make it sound like I did that every day for 8 years. This was a project I kept coming back to between all my other projects. And after it was all said and done, I was like, wow, what's my big takeaway from my study of the Psalms? And I have about 3 or 4, but number one is that it's teaching me to pray if in times just like this, when things are a little bit edgy, in the culture, and when we're not in the majority, and it's not cool to be a Christian. And so when you read the Psalms, keep that in mind, and feel free to pray them in solidarity with our Hebrew ancestors.